Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into some ancient wisdom today.
Oh.
We're talking about the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine.
Oh, wow. That's a classic.
Yeah, and we're specifically looking at chapter 1 today.
Okay.
And I thought it would be fun to kind of set the scene.
Yeah.
Like imagine, you get to sit down with the Yellow Emperor himself and be like, "Hey, why do people age?" You know, like, is it possible to live a long and healthy life? And like, what's the deal with this whole way thing that everybody keeps talking about? Like,
Right.
what is that all about? So those are some of the questions we're going to be tackling today. And get this,
Okay.
the text, it's not just some boring medical manual, it's full of vivid descriptions. It's got these different categories of people,
Interesting.
like, true beings, perfect beings, sages,
Mm.
worthies,
Wow.
like all these different,
That sounds pretty cool.
yeah, and they all have their own unique ways of, you know, approaching life and achieving longevity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible how this ancient text tackles these fundamental questions about human existence. And you're right, it's not just a clinical document. It blends philosophy, observations about nature, medical insights to offer, like a really holistic perspective on health and longevity.
Yeah, it's really cool. Right off the bat, the Yellow Emperor asks this question
Yeah.
that still resonates today. He's like, why did people in ancient times, they were living to 100
Yeah.
and they had all this vitality,
Right.
But in my time, he says, people are declining at 50. And it's like, we're still kind of grappling with that. I mean, our modern world.
Absolutely. The text suggests this key difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
It lies in how people lived in relation to the natural world and the concept of yin and yang. Yin and yang, those fundamental complementary forces
Right, yeah.
in the universe. Ancient people seem to grasp this balance intuitively.
Yeah.
For example, their diets changed with the seasons. They emphasized warming foods in the winter, cooling foods in the summer. They understood that aligning their bodies with these natural rhythms was key to maintaining internal harmony.
So it wasn't just what they ate, but also when they ate it.
Exactly.
That was in sync with nature.
Exactly. Their social structures, their spiritual practices, it all reflected this understanding too.
Okay.
Right? There was a rhythm to daily life, a balance between being active, rest, work, leisure.
Yeah.
Even their desires, their emotions, they were viewed through this lens of yin and yang, needing to be understood and managed to maintain this equilibrium.
It's like they had this like intuitive sense of flow.
Yeah.
Like going with the grain of the universe instead of constantly fighting against it.
Yes. And the text, it suggests that modern people, we've kind of lost touch with that flow, right?
Yeah.
We're impulsive, excessive, always looking for that next hit of stimulation.
Always on.
Yeah. Always on.
And the text paints a pretty stark picture
Yeah.
of what happens when we disrupt that internal harmony,
Right. It leads to premature aging, not just physically, but like mentally, emotionally as well.
Oh, wow.
It's like we're constantly draining our battery.
Right.
And never taking the time to recharge it.
Yeah, never plugging back in. So it's not about living like a totally restrictive life.
Right. Exactly.
Or denying ourselves,
No.
things we enjoy.
It's not about deprivation. It's about sustainability, right? It's about understanding that ebb and flow, not pushing ourselves to the point of depletion.
Okay, so that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where this concept of the way comes in, right? Or the dache. It's not just a set of rules. It's a path of aligning yourself with this natural flow of the universe, right? It's a way of tapping into that source of vitality that the ancients seem to understand so well.
You mentioned a battery earlier, and I'm wondering, does the text go into specifics about how that energy, how it actually works within us?
It really does. The text talks about kidney energy, which is a core principle in traditional Chinese medicine. You can think of it like literally your body's battery. It powers everything from growth, reproduction, to your response to stress.
Yeah.
The text suggests that this energy, it naturally declines with age, but we can conserve it, we can replenish it through specific practices.
So it's not like just a one-way downhill kind of thing.
No. We have some agency here. It's a fascinating and complex system, really.
This is where I start to feel the gap between like ancient wisdom and our modern understanding.
Right.
Do you ever find it challenging to kind of bridge that gap?
It's definitely a dance, honoring the traditional knowledge
Right.
and looking at it through a modern lens. You
Yeah.
know, like when the text talks about kidney energy,
Mm-hmm.
we can draw parallels, right, to our modern concepts of hormones, the endocrine system,
Right. Yeah.
even things like adrenal fatigue, which we hear a lot about these days. It resonates with our current understanding of stress and its impact on the body.
So it's not about, like, dismissing the ancient wisdom because now we have, fancier scientific terms for these things. It's about finding those connections.
Yes, finding those threads, right? Those threads that kind of weave through time
Yeah.
and still hold relevance.
It still makes sense, yeah. And what's remarkable is that this text, it doesn't just point out the problems
Right.
of disharmony. It's like, here's a roadmap
Here's what you can do.
to a healthier life.
Mm-hmm.
It lays out a path, like how to cultivate that inner balance and align with the Tao.
Exactly.
And it's not a quick fix. It sounds like it's more of a...
No, it's a lifelong journey
Yeah.
of self-discovery and attunement.
Okay, so we're starting to understand the why
Yeah.
behind longevity,
Yeah.
living in harmony with ourselves, the natural world. But the text also gets into who,
Right.
like the different types of people,
Oh, yes.
who achieve different degrees of longevity. And this is where it gets really fascinating, right? It's like this hierarchy of harmony with the Tao. We have these figures, true beings, perfect beings, sages, and worthies.
Right.
And they represent, like, different levels of mastery. What's your take on this?
I find it fascinating, how the text uses these figures as, like, archetypes of human potential.
Yeah.
Right? They embody different approaches to embodying the Tao. At the top, you have the true beings.
Okay.
They're almost mythical figures who have achieved perfect alignment with the universe. Their lifespans, they mirror the eternity of heaven and earth. They've tapped into this level of vitality and longevity
Wow.
that almost seems, superhuman.
It's like the superhero origin story for longevity.
Exactly. But even if we don't reach that level, it's inspiring to think that we can still,
Right.
influence our health and lifespan.
It's not all predetermined.
No. We have some say in this.
Yeah.
The text suggests even if we're not true beings. Yeah.
Understanding and applying these principles, even to a smaller degree,
Right.
can have a positive impact on our well-being.
Totally. So it's not like an all or nothing proposition.
Right. Each step we take
Yeah.
towards aligning ourselves with the Tao, it's like it can have this ripple effect
Okay.
on our health and longevity.
Yeah.
It's like we're tuning into a frequency that promotes well-being and vitality.
And this is where the text gets really granular, right? Like it starts outlining.
Specific practices.
Yeah, like here's how to do it.
Exactly.
That's-
Yeah, lifestyle recommendations.
It's like they're giving us the ancient Chinese playbook.
It's true. It's incredibly detailed.
For longevity.
Insightful in its recommendations. It covers everything.
Yeah.
Diet, exercise,
Yeah.
sleep hygiene, even the importance of managing your emotions, cultivating inner peace. And while some of the language might seem a bit foreign to us today, the underlying principles,
Yeah.
they're remarkably relevant
Yeah.
to our modern lives. Well, I'm definitely ready to dive deeper into that ancient wisdom. But before we do that, let's take a quick break and come back
Yeah, sounds good.
and explore those specific practices and really see like how we can apply them to our lives today. Stay tuned.
It strikes me, that this ancient text, it kind of challenges us to think about longevity.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of like years lived,
Right.
but in terms of the quality
Yeah.
of those years.
It's not just about like not dying.
Right.
It's about like really living fully
Exactly.
in alignment with like who we really are.
Exactly. The text seems to suggest that by following the Tao, we can maintain, not just our physical vitality,
Right.
but our mental clarity, emotional well-being.
Wow.
It's a much more holistic
Yeah, that's cool.
vision of aging.
I'm really curious to hear more about those different types of people
Oh, yeah.
that we touched on earlier. The true beings,
Right.
perfect beings, sages, worthies. They each seem to represent a different level of mastery
Yeah.
on this path of longevity,
Yeah, you could say that. They're like archetypes of human potential,
Okay.
each embodying a particular way of being in the world. The true beings, as we mentioned,
Right.
represent the pinnacle of harmony with the Tao. Their lifespans It's like they mirror the eternity of heaven and earth.
It's almost like they've transcended
Right.
the limitations of ordinary human existence.
Exactly, exactly. And while the text acknowledges that achieving this level of mastery
Yeah.
is incredibly rare, it also offers a more accessible path
Okay.
for the rest of us.
Right.
That's where the perfect beings come in.
Okay.
They've cultivated pure virtue and a deep understanding of the Tao. They've chosen to withdraw from worldly pursuits, focusing instead on refining their inner nature.
So they're not necessarily like hermits living in caves,
Right.
but they've consciously prioritized, like,
Inner growth
Yeah.
over external achievements.
Okay.
Yes. Their focus is on aligning themselves with those cosmic forces that govern the universe, right? They cultivate their energy, refine their senses, and strive to, like,
Wow.
perceive the world from a more expansive perspective.
That sounds like a pretty intense
That's a commitment.
spiritual practice.
Yeah.
But what about those of us who, like, aren't ready to renounce the world
Yeah.
and all its pleasures?
Yeah.
Does the text offer any guidance for, like,
Oh.
us ordinary folks?
That's where the sages and the
Okay.
worthies come in.
Right.
They represent a more grounded approach to longevity, one that acknowledges, like, the realities
Yeah.
of living in the world
Right.
while still striving for that balance
Right.
and harmony.
So it's not about denying, like,
Or humanity.
Yeah.
Right.
but about, like, finding a way to live in accordance with the Tao.
Exactly.
Like, all the
What's the
messiness
purpose of life.
Yeah, of everyday life.
Exactly. The sages are described as, like, living in harmony with heaven and earth, following those natural rhythms of the seasons, indulging in desires without succumbing to anger or resentment. They find joy in the simple things. They maintain inner peace, avoid overexertion or mental strain.
It's a very, like, mindful approach to life.
Mindful, balanced.
Focusing on what truly nourishes us.
Yes.
Both physically and mentally, and letting go of
What depletes us.
Yeah, what drains us. Yeah.
Exactly. And the worthies, they take this a step further. They're described as actively studying the natural world,
Okay.
observing the movements of the sun and moon, the patterns of the stars,
Oh,
the cycles of yin and yang. They seek to understand, like, the underlying principles that govern the universe, and then they align their lives accordingly.
it's like they're constantly seeking knowledge and wisdom,
Yes.
and then using it to, like, refine their understanding of the Tao
Right. And apply it
and apply it, yeah,
to their daily lives.
to their lives.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And while they may not achieve the, like, boundless lifespan of the true beings,
Right.
they can still extend their lives significantly
Okay.
and enjoy a high level of vitality and well-being.
So it's not just about, like, passively accepting the aging process.
No. It's about actively engaging with life, seeking knowledge, cultivating virtue,
Right.
refining our understanding of the Tao.
It's empowering to think that we have, like, agency
Yes.
in this process.
I completely agree. This text offers such a, like, profound and nuanced perspective on
Yeah.
aging and longevity. It reminds us that our lifespans aren't just, like, predetermined,
Yeah.
but rather influenced by our choices.
Their choices.
The way we live, the degree to which we align ourselves with, you know, the natural order.
It's a lot to take in, but it's incredibly inspiring. So where do we go from here? How can we begin to apply these, like,
Yeah.
ancient principles
Right.
to our modern lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And while there's no easy answer, I think the first step is simply to become aware of these principles, to reflect on how they resonate with us personally,
Right.
and consider how we might begin to integrate them into our
Yeah, like baby steps.
baby steps. Exactly. It's like we're planting seeds of possibility.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And who knows what might blossom from those seeds with time, patience,
Right?
a little bit of cultivation.
Now, I'm eager to unpack some of the specific practices
Yeah.
the text recommends for cultivating this harmony and longevity.
Let's get practical.
Stay tuned as we dive into the practical side of ancient Chinese wisdom
All right.
in the next part of our deep dive. Okay, so we've talked about the why, the who of longevity,
Yeah.
you know, according to the Yellow Emperor's classic.
Right.
Now let's get to the how. Like, what did these ancient folks actually do
Right.
to live longer, healthier lives?
Well, the text offers some really practical advice,
Okay.
and it's surprisingly timeless.
Oh, cool.
It emphasizes a few key areas. First and foremost, diet and nutrition.
Makes sense.
It's interesting, though, it's not about specific superfoods or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
It's really about moderation and balance.
Yeah.
The idea is to nourish the body without overwhelming it.
It sounds like they were, like, advocating for mindful eating, like, way before.
Claro,
it was,
like, that's right.
yeah, centuries ahead of their time. They understood that digestion takes energy,
Okay.
and constantly overloading the system leads to imbalance.
Right.
The text really emphasizes listening to your body's cues
Okay.
and eating in a way that supports, your overall well-being.
So no late night binges or like mega-sized portions, guys.
Exactly. Portion control was key.
Okay, what else?
Well, physical activity is crucial.
Okay, yeah.
Again, balance is key.
Okay.
It's not about pushing yourself to the limit, but engaging in activities that promote circulation, flexibility, and vitality. I imagine they weren't hitting the gym for like high-intensity workouts. It was more like gentle stretches, walks in nature, maybe some Tai Chi.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about moving the body in a way that harmonizes with its natural rhythms, not forcing it into like unnatural positions or overly strenuous activities.
It sounds a lot more like sustainable and enjoyable than like what we often see in a modern fitness culture.
Yeah.
What about sleep? Any like ancient sleep hygiene tips?
Oh, absolutely.
Tucked away in this text.
The text emphasizes the importance of regular sleep patterns, aligning your sleep-wake cycle with the natural rhythms of day and night.
Okay.
Creating a peaceful environment for sleep and allowing your body to fully recharge.
So put away those screens, dim the lights, and let the body rest. No binge-watching shows till like 3 in the morning.
Exactly.
Right.
They knew that sleep was essential for restoring energy, both physical and mental. It's about creating those right conditions for deep and restorative slumber.
Okay, so we've got mindful eating, balanced exercise, prioritizing sleep.
Yeah.
All pretty solid advice, even today. Anything a bit more unexpected?
There is.
Okay.
The text also talks about the importance of managing emotions and cultivating inner peace. It highlights the detrimental effects of stress, worry, anger, all that stuff on our health and longevity.
So emotional well-being was part of their
Big part.
ancient wellness plan.
Big part of it.
Yeah.
The idea is that, negative emotions, they disrupt the flow of ki.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That vital energy we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And these disruptions create blockages, that can lead to illness and disharmony.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. But how did they suggest managing those emotions?
Right.
Do they have, like, ancient meditation apps or, like, stress reduction techniques?
No naps, but they did have practices that we might recognize today. They stress the importance of mindfulness, meditation, cultivating gratitude and contentment. It's about shifting our focus, away from external stressors and turning inward.
Yeah.
Finding those moments of peace and stillness amidst the busyness of life.
It's kind of amazing to think they were talking about this, like, thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
It really shows you how, like, timeless this wisdom is.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And while, their language might be different, the underlying principles really resonate with our modern understanding of well-being.
As we wrap up this deep dive into the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine, I'm struck by how this ancient text offers like a truly holistic vision of health and longevity.
It's not just about living longer.
It's not just about the years. It's about
It's about the quality of those years.
Yeah, enriching the quality of our years and living in greater harmony.
Exactly.
With ourselves and the world around us.
Beautifully said.
Thank you. I think this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. And if you're inspired to explore these ideas further, I really encourage you to check out the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine for yourself. It's a treasure trove of wisdom waiting to be uncovered. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.